I hated myself, like hated myself.
Did you hate yourself? You hated how you looked?
I hated how I looked. I hated my heritage. Like, I had such an identity crisis, and my mum and dad would be like, what are you on about? Like, I would literally be so embarrassed, like, even of like cultural stuff, which I could not give less of an F about now. But yeah, like when my dad would cook curry at home, I'd be like, no, like my bag smells of curry, like crying my eyes out, like I can't go to school, like, oh my God. I would be mortified. It'd be the worst thing in the world. Like,
so your background, is it Pakistani?
yes.
Okay. On what, both sides? Or?
So my mum and dad are both mixed race. So my dad is half Pathan, which if you want to break down into what that is, like Afghan, Iranian heritage, and his family like migrated to Pakistan. Like I've done a whole DNA test. I've got my heritage results. And my mum is half Pakistani, so her family also have like Indian origin too. So she's Kashmiri. So it's hard to break down, but they would say like half Pakistani.
All right, fair. Yeah. So you identify as?
I'd say I'm half English, and then quarter Pathan, quarter Punjabi. So there's different little groups, but yeah, half Pakistani.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
So when I was looking at the research on Burnley, I didn't realize this, is that Pakistani is the second most popular demographic in Burnley. Yeah. I had no idea. So when you talk about there being this almost segregated communities, I can now, see that.
Yeah.
And was it even beyond, or is it even today beyond the school system? Is it probably, places of worship, I would imagine, yes. Restaurants, etc.?
Yep, absolutely. And I think there's a real sense of community. So when people obviously migrated to Burnley and these towns, like they would settle within their own little communities, and then that's just grown throughout the years, and it sort of stays that way. Like, I know a lot of Asian people who are buying houses, and they will not go and buy a house in a predominantly white area because they don't feel like they'd fit in or they'd be excluded, and vice versa. Like, everyone sort of splits off, which I've always found tricky to navigate, being mixed race.
Yes.
Because it's like two ends of the spectrum, and every mixed person, I think, will relate to this. Like, you're too white for the Asian people, and you're too Asian for the white people sometimes. And that was like such a huge identity crisis I had especially when I was a teenager, like going through high school, because you just don't know like where you belong. And that was tough, like that was hard. And I was like, no, I wish I wasn't this, I wish I wasn't this.
Yes.
Which I'm really proud of now. And it's like, I feel ashamed to say that. But like, yeah, being 12, 13, I was like, no, I don't want to be Asian. I don't want to be this. Or even in primary school, like sometimes I'm like, I don't want to be half English. Like, you just don't feel like you fully belong on either side.
Yes. By the way, I love this conversation. This is such an important conversation because it's not had to the degree that it needs to be had in the UK.
Yeah.
And that is all of the cultural differences and how we're not, as cultures, even though we're living together in these communities, we're actually not living together.
Yeah.
So just how I can endorse what you're saying, but the dialogue is not happening.
Yes.
So I would imagine this is precisely what you're talking about.
Yes. So when I would go to dance classes as a child, white dance classes, ballet, cheerleading, and the girls there always treated me differently. And I quit cheerleading because of that.
Okay. And how did they treat you differently?
They wouldn't play with me. They didn't want to sit with me. Like, in the circle, it would be, you sit down at dance and you're like, my name's Shakira, da 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 da. And I didn't understand why. I didn't get it because I was so popular at primary school. I was a kid. I was about 6 years old, 7 years old. I didn't get it because every day in primary school, I was so popular. I had so many friends. Everyone loves me. I wore my hair in a plait. Everyone else wants to wear their hair in a plait. And then I go to this class and suddenly someone didn't want to sit next to me. There was a girl, and I'll always remember her face. God, I wish I knew her name. And we had to hold hands in the circle. She wouldn't hold my hand. She wouldn't hold my hand. And I was like, what's her problem? I didn't get it. I didn't understand, because I didn't feel like I was any different. We were all in our little cheerleading outfits. I didn't feel different then until after that.
How does religion also impact what we're talking about?
Massively.
Yes, okay.
I'm an atheist. And I think that was quite a big thing. And people think it comes hand in hand with you being like Pakistani, then you're automatically Muslim. And faith has never been like a strong thing in my household. Like, my parents never sent us to mosque or church, because I think for them, and obviously I can't speak too much for my parents, but they've got it where it's a bigger divide. They've got their English mothers and their Asian fathers. And that in itself is a culture clash.
Okay. So then if I can ask, how did you then become atheist?
So I went to, well, I've never grown up with any religion, so I wasn't sure what I meant. Like, you know, when you're little and you're scared, you might say a prayer. You don't know what you're praying to. Like, it's like blind faith in something, like maybe out of fear. And then when I went to high school and did like religious studies and was educated on stuff, I was really interested by the rock of atheism. So this is to do with Catholicism. And it's the idea that a God who is omnibenevolent, all-loving, omniscient, all-knowing, and omnipotent, all-powerful, all those three things can't coincide if evil exists. So if evil exists in the world, which we know is fact,
yes,
and a God is all-loving and all-powerful, then how can those three things happen at once? Like, if evil exists and he loves everyone on this planet and he knows like evil exists and he has the power to do it, then he can't be all-loving.
Interesting.
You know? And I always thought I was really interested. And then I like studied atheism more, and I was like, yeah, this is me. I don't believe in any of this. And it's no disrespect to anyone's religions. I just think I've always resonated more with science and things, well, factual, that I would find factual, like the Big Bang Theory. That makes more sense to me than the story of Adam and Eve and how the world came to be.
Yes.
That's just, and I came to that conclusion myself. It wasn't like pressured on me from anyone or anything.
And how did your parents respond once you identified properly as an atheist and you talked to them about it?
I don't think they batted an eyelid, to be honest.
Look at that.
This might be offensive to some people, but for me, I think it's a difficult concept to live your life based on like a book of worship, when to me the afterlife's not promised. Like, a lot of religions say you live your life by this, and you'll have rewards in the next life. Whereas for me, I just believe it's this life, and do what you want and live by your own morals of what's wrong and right, good and evil, and you'll be fine. Like, I don't need like a text to dictate that to me. I feel like I and myself know, like from the way my parents have raised me and the world around me, what is right and wrong. You know?
Yes, yes. So I have to ask this, and this is a personal question.
Yeah.
Actually, these are all personal questions, but this one hits deep because I grew up in a Christian household.
Yeah.
And I grew up attending church, periodically going to like Bible studies and Sunday school, but periodically.
Yeah.
And one thing that I noticed, at least with the church group that I was with, is that there was a lot of emphasis placed on what will happen in the afterlife, what will happen in beyond their death. And I would always question, was that particular group placing so much emphasis on the afterlife that they were not giving the present as much energy, attention, and time?
Yeah.
And so my question to you is, because you don't believe in an afterlife, do you feel like that gives you even more tenacity and energy for the moment?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And that's what I live by. Like, I don't want to ever be on my deathbed and have what ifs and regrets. And I just want to live a good life and give my children everything. And I don't want to go to like my grave with a stack full of money, you know? Like what is that? What's figures when you're in the ground, you know?
Okay.
I just want to live a beautiful, wholesome life.
All right.
In this life.
I see it. I see this. You know, that by itself gives me so much perspective on you. So much perspective on you. So then, when you think about your social circle as a little girl, what was your social circle like? Did you have lots of friends, a few friends? I would imagine you had lots of friends.
Yeah, in primary school, I had a lot of friends. So I went to a predominantly Asian primary school. I was like the little it girl of the school, like had a really big group, like never would have got bullied or anything. And then when I went to high school, that was like the biggest shock of my life. And I got thrown into this set. No one wanted to be my partner for anything. No one wanted to speak to me. They'd all like made their little friendship groups. They all sort of knew each other from going to church together or christenings, and because they were all from these feeder schools. And it was tough. And I felt so weird. Like it dulled my sparkle. And my mum and dad, like, I remember I came home from school and they were like, how was your first day? I was like, so good. Made so many friends. So popular. It's going great. Because I was that embarrassed. I was so embarrassed. Like, what do you mean no one's spoken to me? I didn't have lunch with anyone. And it took a while. And I ended up making friends with two of the girls in my set. Really unpopular. Completely nerdy. I never, ever in a million years would have befriended them normally. Because they were like really introverted, shy, and these ended up being my friends. And we would go to the library. We wouldn't go to the canteen. We'd go to the library and we'd sit in silence and we'd read. And I always loved reading. But that's when I really became a bookworm. But like this big, bubbly, bright, bold personality
was dulled. Yeah.
And I became really shy and really insecure, and I didn't want to say anything. And, you know, even comments people would make and like laugh at us, I wouldn't defend myself. What? I would bark at anything for years. My siblings, people at school, I wouldn't say boo to a goose.
Can we talk about beauty standards? Because I would imagine that there's an intersection point here between culture. What did you feel like the beauty standard was, and where did you feel like you fell on that standard?
The beauty standard was blonde, blue eyes, fake tan. And I was right at the bottom of the barrel. Like every boy, I'd never experienced this, because anyone I had a crush on in primary school, like I was the most fancied girl or whatever, kids silly. And then it was like going from that to being like, ew, like even as a joke, like, oh, shut up, like you'd go out with Shakira, like as an insult, you know? Like going from there to there was mind-boggling for my confidence. I hated myself, like hated myself.
Did you hate yourself? You hated how you looked?
I hated how I looked. I hated my heritage. Like I had such an identity crisis, and my mum and dad would be like, "What are you on about?" Like, I would literally be so embarrassed. Like, even of like cultural stuff, which I could not give less of an F about now. But yeah, like when my dad would cook curry at home, I'd be like, no, like this, my bag smells of curry, like crying my eyes out, like I can't go to school, like, oh my God. I would be mortified. It'd be the worst thing in the world. Like I would be mortified. And I was ashamed.
Because if you did, would you get comments?
Yeah.
You would.
The P word.
Okay. I think I know what the P word is. Yes. Where
I have a very, very long history with the P word.
Really? I mean, so obviously we're not going to say the P word, but so people were just saying that to your face?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Even like to describe a corner shop, the pea shop, very casual, very casually used. And it would bug me because no one would like use that in primary school. And then all of a sudden this derogatory term to describe like me, I was like, what? And I didn't dare say anything. I didn't dare like say anything to anyone because my confidence was just gone. And I started to believe it. I started to internalize it that I was lesser than.